Hey there, it's me, Danny LaBelle, the host of the Modern Day Philosophers Podcast, a podcast where I pair a philosopher with a comedian every week to make for excellent conversation. Here's a clip from Season 6 where I talk to my friend Dante Nero about his background as a male stripper. Believe it or not. Wait till you hear this. People don't know this, but you wound up becoming a male stripper.
Yeah.
That's what we're getting to here.
Yes, right. That's how I ended up becoming a male stripper.
What I'm wondering is the music.
Well, I was a big house head. I was a big club head. Like some of the biggest clubs in Chicago and New York with these huge house clubs, the Paradise Garage and B-52s.
You were dancing to music that you liked.
Yes.
Did that factor into the decision?
I was a good dancer. Well, I think what happened, it was just it was a way to make some money, and I was just kind of a creative dude, and so I just looked at it very logically and philosophically. Well, why would this work over what everybody else was doing?
You're my only friend who was ever a male stripper.
Okay,
you know that? To my knowledge.
Okay,
to my knowledge. So it's very outside of the box.
Yeah,
but you are a very creative guy, so it's interesting to take something like male stripping that doesn't think, the word creativity doesn't come to mind right away.
Well,
but hearing you talk about it like it's creative, it's
right.
very interesting.
There was costume design. Like I taught myself how to sew, and I sewed my own costumes.
Really?
Yeah.
This is very funny to me.
And then I also understood the philosophical concept of congruence. Like, for instance, I made my own cologne. And so I used to do this. My stripper name was Prince Mandingo, and I did this kind of African thing. I remember seeing this movie Shaka Zulu. I don't know if you remember Shaka Zulu, the movie Shaka Zulu. Anyway, in any event, there's a scene where he has this huge feather headdress, and he claims his throne back, and it was it was such a powerful scene. And I remember, because I have 3 older sisters. And I remember my sisters were watching it and were like, just because we're talking about that very alpha male.
You must have learned a lot about women from having older sisters.
Yeah, and they're totally different. I could talk about that for hours, but I'll cover it really quickly. My younger sister loved good-looking guys, athletic, right? Really a lot of fun, like playful guys who would wrestle and go to amusement parks and stuff, but they were always dumb. Like good looking, they were like bambos or bimbo, like what I call male bimbos. My middle sister always liked guys who were like average looking, but very romantic, poems, flowers, poetry, but they were always broke, right? Which in a way, probably they did those things, romantic things, because they couldn't afford other things. My older sister always messed with guys who had cars, money, jewelry, travel, trips and stuff, but they were always ugly as shit and they were abusive, right? So I remember as a kid, I was maybe 13 years old, I was like, wow, if I could be the guy who could date all of my sisters, not in the real sense, but those genres, then I'd be an amazing dude. So I at 13 years old, I started working on that. So I wanted to be intelligent, a well-dressed, sense of style, romantic,
fast
athletic, money, cars, motorcycles, a rough dude, You
decided to be the everyman, literally.
Well, yeah. I mean, I didn't really understand that's what I was looking at. I was just like, wow, if I could, my sisters are so different. I figured if I'd have a pretty good shot if I could satisfy all their needs in that.
What if you would have just without trying, without coming to this realization? What if you would have just naturally evolved as you were? Which one of those 3 guys do you think you would have wound up being?
I was a good-looking, athletic dude, so I probably would have been dumb, athletic, and good-looking, and can handle myself.
It's so interesting. When do you think it occurred to you? At what age that you're like, maybe I could be all 3 of those guys?
I was like 13. Because I was the youngest of all my sisters are older, and I had watched all of the things, all of the problems that they were going through in relationships and marriages and stuff like that, and living with people.
This
and
is
stuff
like a great opening scene for a comedy film.
Yeah,
like,
right. I just kid, as a kid watching this, is like Ray,
little notepad.
like
You're walking
like Ray.
Every time your sister gets in a fight, one of them with the boyfriend, you go in your room and you jot something down in your diary.
I have a dry eraser board. I'm figuring out formulas and shit.
You've got Post-it notes and newspaper clippings,
right.
strings with pins all over the place. You're trying to figure out how to be the perfect man.
And what happened was I started stripping and understanding women.
This is what happens, by the way, Don. If you try to be every man, you wind up
being a stripper.